had somewhat of an inkling that shady deals were going down during that supposed state of emergency. The Institute for Public Policy Research recently launched a procurement tracker bulletin, red flagging issues around procurement relating to the COVID-19 outbreak during the state of emergency. I spoke to Federico Links about some of the issues that his investigations revealed.
All right, so what we looked at was emergency procurement. And I mean, it's sort of, I don't know if you've been following what's happening in South Africa. The massive corruption scandals sort of under the COVID health procurement in South Africa. So we were just wondering, look, can we, where would the signs be or the risk indicators be for Namibia looking at what's happening in South Africa? So we identified some risk indicators, these red flags. We used, for instance, the open contracting partnerships risk indicators that they developed, and some others, Corruption Watch in South Africa as well. And we came up with ours, we adapted them, and we came up with 4 risk indicators or red flags that we were looking for on the Namibian COVID-19 emergency, state of emergency landscape. And we found these risk indicators. So it was short tender periods, some as short as just 1 day, tender period being 1 day to the next. And we found the widespread use of non-competitive bidding methods. So it's all direct procurement. The third one was where just one bidder is invited to submit a bid. And then the fourth one was trying to see who these companies are. Or who some of the companies were, and we just randomly chose 4 companies from various lists and then tried to see if we could find them on the Business and Intellectual Property website, that search portal website. And also if we didn't find it there, we'd do an information request to BIPA across the counter and see if, what we come up with. And so, we found these indicators, all of these risk indicators, these red flags. We found them on the COVID-19 emergency procurement landscape. And when we went to look at some of these companies, almost 50% we couldn't find any information on them. I mean, in some cases, 13 of them we searched for, and people searched for them on their database as well, and they couldn't find them, and then they just told us, this company isn't registered with us. So it might be that the company is actually, registered, but and for us, the fact that so many came up, because we went back and we did some more searches using some of the companies that were awarded contracts, and a lot of them didn't come up in these searches. So it might not be that the companies themselves are not registered with BIPA. It might be actually, the problem might actually be BIPA's management of the company's register, so that it's not up to date, it's not complete, and that's why a lot of these companies don't appear on the register. And I think that's a more plausible explanation than just hundreds of companies that have gotten government contracts are just not registered. But the issue of the red flags is a concerning issue. It's not something new. I mean, we also referred to emergency procurement, direct procurement being misused and abused. And those are the terms that the Procurement Policy Unit itself used in financial years 2017-18 and 2018-19. So there's this culture to bypass the normal open bidding procedures of that are set out in the Public Procurement Act. And to just procure directly from one supplier. We just randomly picked 40 companies. And I mean, there are some there that you can see. These are people who are certainly have been in government and have benefited from the taxpayer in the past, and now have set up companies and are now supplying, for instance, the Ministry of Health. So there definitely are some. People buy these close corporations off the shelf that do everything. He can build, he can do plumbing, he can sell, whatever. They can do everything. So these sorts of closed corporations that just about do anything. One last year he was a construction company. Now he's a supplier of COVID-19 emergency supplies. Now we're not saying that any of these transactions are corrupt. We're just pointing out these are the red flags on the procurement landscape. And we want to discourage and we want to point this out because we feel it needs to be discouraged. A culture, a procurement culture which is not transparent should be discouraged.
And now the question remains, Namibia, just what are we going to do about it?
There needs to be really, this is becoming urgent. We really need formalized access to information. Because also if you look at the quality of the reports, they differ across the government departments. So some provide more information than others, and nobody seems to be holding them accountable for the quality of their reporting. So this also needs to be challenged. People really ought to take a look at these things and ask the questions. There are some where things like meat and biltong are procured as emergency procurement COVID-19 related. But you know, you have to question, is it really necessary to use that method when you're buying things like these? Shouldn't it just be for your medical and health supplies that those sorts of methods should be used even under the state of emergency? Why should things like meat and drinks and things be procured using emergency procurement? So I mean, I encourage people to take a look at those reports, and then to also ask, I mean, why this specific company? Why was only this one invited? Why not another one? Where did you get this company's name? Have they supplied government before? What is their track record? What did they charge? So I mean, the thing with this sort of procurement, this sort of non-transparent, uncompetitive, and single-bidded procurement practice, is that in sort of the anti-corruption literature, the global anti-corruption literature, these sorts of practices are correlated with overpricing and overcharging of government. So in a situation where just one bidder is invited, you have to ask, was this really the best price? And if we went and compared it to, say, what we can buy over the counter or in the shops, in the retail outlet, is this really the best price that could be gotten?